room is probably best described here tonight.
That's Lewis Quigg. Sorry guys, my phone's...
Imagine what it's like out there in the living rooms, the bedrooms, and you know, everyone out there...
My phone's absolutely red hot.
And tonight has just been like an East German Politburo meeting. Where you all just stand there, read for the
Sorry guys, I lost signal. I didn't lose signal, my phone's just burning up. My phone's burning up. You haven't missed anything.
Because of the victims, the parents, the grandparents, and probably the town itself, who had to drag this council here, kicking, screaming, through 1 litre, 2 litres, and now this one. It doesn't just happen overnight.
My phone's burning
It
up.
just doesn't happen within a week, a fortnight, a month, or a year. This abuse has been going on for years. And we've seen tonight survivors sat in the gallery, a survivor who came up to the mic, coming from 1981. 1981. And these people aren't lying. These people aren't making it up. These people aren't saying barefaced lies.
Like Sean Fielding did.
Because that's what was said to the former deputy leader of the council.
How dare you thank Sean Fielding, Andy Burnham.
And we're here now to talk about what is essentially a massive scandal of girls as young as 12 and perhaps even younger being raped, sexually abused, and then some more on top.
Battered, bitten, spat on, burnt, fingers cut off.
For too long, justice has been denied. And I would say to
Tell the
the
truth.
victims, if they can, to do go and get re-interviewed by the police. I know they've got no confidence in them after everything that's happened, but do go.
Well, I'm sorry, Michael Griffiths, but I think you're right,
To
yeah.
review the cases that they had.
Every time I point my phone at Burnham, my picture freezes. I'm sorry, I apologise.
Because there must be a
I am giving him as much abuse as I can.
enough reports that either GMP or others compiled, put together, and perhaps weren't worth prosecuting. We've got that one before. We have heard that one before. But sadly, tonight Oldham joins an infamous list of towns. From Rotherham to Rochdale to Telford.
Every town in Oldham, Lewis.
Council, the police, failed to take those reporting this horrific crime seriously.
Yeah.
Failed to share vital information between agencies and departments. And failed to support the victims full stop. So where we get this report tonight is why we are here. And Gerard, you say that people committing the abuse are the real criminals. Yes, they are. Absolutely. But so too are those who failed in the duty of care.
Yes! Yes!
But criminal prosecutions against these people. If I did, in financial services, a financial crime, I'd be hauled before the courts and lose my job. In fact, Mr. Bowen, you'd probably be the one to haul me off. Because that's how serious they take money. How are we not doing it with children and young people?
Go on, Lewis, quick.
The questions are this. You'd be glad to hear, probably. Why did the council fail to inform schools, and thus parents, of the risks posed by shisha bars in the meeting on the 24th of October 2013? Why was more weight put on community cohesion rather than on informing the public of matters of public safety?
Well said.
Not only that, if the council can publish a full data set of the ethnicity and age of those found to be abusing CSE victims, because thus far, with the failure of IOPS, and when you try to ask Greater Manchester Police about crime numbers, we all say we don't know.
You can't even get through to the phone on them, Lewis.
So I think it's important that we know where we are now.
Again, is it?
Before we
No, it's
start looking
Lewis.
at the past, because
Lewis
I
is
think
good.
That is where a lot of the problems have been raised, a lot of the questions that have been posed by the public tonight have stemmed from the lack of accessible public information. Can I also ask whether this is the panel, whoever it may be, to confirm how many victims fell through the net of the council, the police and any other organisation who were subsequently trafficked, raped and exposed to grooming in Oldham over a period covered by the review, and if necessary, beyond. And I think, Mr. Mayor, given that you're obviously here tonight, how many reports of CSE were missed by the disaster of the IOPS system?
Yeah.
Given that we don't know how many, we know 80,000 crimes were missed, how many of them were victims who may have reported it, or reports that there could have been suspicious activity? Because at the end of the day, if we're about to talk about lessons being learned, and as we heard about the licensing committee only recently, I think it's about time we knew where we stood on this matter and how much data and how much information has been gathered. And finally, to people like Sam, I'm newly elected, and to the victims who've spoken here tonight, you've probably never had an apology, or if you have, it's always been in writing. We're sorry. We should have done this. We should have done this better. Sam, take him to the cleaners, love, because that's the only way you're going to get justice. Take him through the civil courts, take him through the civil remedies, and if necessary, go all the way to Parliament, because we've had plenty of debates in Parliament, and we've got another one. And it was posed by the member for Ashfield at the last debate, on another meeting, on another cases of CSE. And he posed the question, how many people in the office, behind the scenes, in the councils,
I've stuck up for Ellie today.
No.
That's the answer, no. So when will we get that justice for these victims? Thank you, Madam Mayor.
We've got all night, let's have the answers. I've asked him, Alison, I've asked them all about Ellie being trafficked into Oldham and what's happened to her. God bless her. Send her my love.
I'm going to say that the information has been routinely shared with schools. In 2013, I couldn't...
There's a school child in these chambers now that says no it wasn't. There's a child in these chambers now that says no they've not.
There was a number of points within the question, and I couldn't stand here and give you an honest answer.
You've not done that all night, love, so carry on. Thanks, Alison. It's Ellie's mum. Yeah, do you want to just say something? I won't put you on camera. Alison, listen.
Hi Alison, you're right. I hope you're doing okay.
It's Sophie, Sam, and she's sending Ellie. We're both sending Ellie all our love, and we'll be there when she wants us to be there to support her all the way.
100%.
100%. This is all this here, all this. What they're talking here
Can be done in every town.
can be done in every town, and this is what we need to do.
It can be done
This is what needs to happen everywhere, in every town, up and down the country. The people need to come together. Everybody needs to come together to stop this. Right, here we go. We've now got Mr. Rajamir. Let's go. Dave! Woo! Excuse me, do you mind moving? Thank you. Oh no! Well done, Lewis. Go on, Roger, ask your question, love.
2014 to improve the quality of casework and what is being done to ensure that there are appropriate levels of social
Don't pretend you didn't. All of you heard the harrowing testimony of Child A yesterday. Child A was prevented from giving her testimony by Burnham's team.
And you're heading shame, Andy Burnham.
Cover up! Cover up! This child came to me crying. Crying. A child of our town came to me crying. Cover up!
Cover up, Jackie.
Cover up!
Have you unplugged your mic, Roger?
No. She was trying to get me out is what's going on. Cover up! A child of our town came to me crying because Andy Burnham's review team
Jessica, I won't. They've already threatened me with police.
and police officers.
Here we go, here we go. Don't even think about it! Let's go and protect Roger. Go and protect Roger, lads.
And these police officers left a scrap of paper signed from this officer here. Severe mental health problems, tried to commit suicide twice, no consideration. The girl's crying, and she gives her testimony and I share it, and the only reason I shared my testimony was because it was blocked. I urged her to go to the review team. She wrote to Andy Burnham, he hasn't got back to her. And then this morning, Operation Sherwood that we keep hearing about, police officer from Operation Sherwood contacted this poor kid.
They've intimidated her, Roger. They've intimidated her.
Operation Sherwood, they have made me aware of the implications of me talking to you and the effects it could cause on the prosecution of past perpetrators and other victims.
They've intimidated her.
Against them. They phoned a young woman yesterday, who testified yesterday and threatened her today. That's what they did.
They've intimidated her and threatened her. Shame on you! 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 Anything to say, Andy, about the letters that they got this morning? Anything to say about that victim that got that call this morning, Andy? Anything to say, Andy?
Just take on the suggestion that this was my review team.
No, it wasn't.
With the chair of the review, anybody who should or should not be interviewed. The review team were entirely independent.
Andy, they told us! They told us they reported to you!
To the contrary.
They told us, Gary Ridgway told us they reported to you, Andy Burnham. Stop lying! Gary Ridgway told Sophie, told Sam, that he had to report to you. I'm right. Andy Burnham, I don't know how you sleep at night, ma'am. And I hope you don't sleep tonight. And I hope you lose your job.
But now that the review has been published, I would urge everybody to read it fully.
love. You've had a week.
Because it's important that we highlight where things didn't work. So we can focus on
No, he can't look at me because he knows I'm telling the truth. Burnham can't look at me. Just like he couldn't take that evidence from me in Ashton. Because he knows I'm telling the bloody truth.
because it was the right thing to do. And the time period that the review covers, from 2011 to 2014, is the point that we, as a Labour administration, came back into office.
My hand's cramping bad. My hand is cramping so bad holding this phone.
In order to try and share or absolve any responsibility. As has already been said,
This is the Labour councillor that's talking.
an adjournment debate in Parliament on Thursday.
Another cover-up!
Where Jim McMahon goes along and says, nothing to see here. Nothing to see, Jim McMahon will say. Where's our MPs tonight, Mr Burnham?
Safeguarding failures are not about scoring political points or trying to cover for anybody. It's about solving
Who's clock watching?
by creating the environment to make changes that support our children as well as our social workers to do their job properly.
I am voting for no confidence in this council. I have no confidence in this council at all.
So I just want to take this opportunity.
Let's have a go with no confidence!
If anyone tonight wants to speak to a trained professional or report an incident that's happened in the past, please do get in touch by calling all the details of which are found on the website. And I hope the one thing that we actually agree on in this chamber
They are rats in the sewer, Joe. They're right, you're right. And I spoke up for your daughter.
to be able to come forward. And language is very, very important in that process. Therefore, what I want to end by and ask the question is that to make sure that these details
This man here,
rightly
Warren Bates, knew everything.
so that those people who have been victims have the confidence to come forward. It is incumbent upon us all to make sure that people who have been failed have the opportunity to come forward, and we should be supportive of that. Thank you.
Okay, so yeah, but then of course we'll do an extension. Obviously, I'm conscious of time and council.
We've got all night, Amanda, don't worry, love. So am I. And I've had my tea. I had my tea at 4 o'clock.
If we don't get about it, if you then submit it, then we'll get a response about 5 weeks.
Are you really proud of all this? You work here, don't you? What's your name?
So that all questions are asked and all answers are given and the public are given what they want.
And you're from Constitutional Services, aren't you? Are you really proud?
I did ask 6 specific questions in my contribution 2 hours ago, which it will be given you. Answer at all. And I'm just wondering how that.
Do you know when you called for a public investigation and a public consultation?
Madam Mayor, it's clear that the priority tonight, the priority was allocated, and well, that's why we suspended council procedure rules, we suspended time limits on the public, which ordinarily would be 30 minutes. The priority was given to the public questions, and we covered every single question that was submitted. In terms of the next member questions now, in terms of your questions, we have covered a lot, and we started to repeat ourselves. So the leader suggested 15 minutes for any final questions, and then any question that is submitted, my commitment to you is that the question will not only be replied to, but it will be copied to every member of the council.
Yeah.
Okay? So every member of the council.
John Findler, Oldham Council, has turned Oldham into the right shit show. Yeah, it has. You've not answered one question properly, truthfully.
Every member, and I will publish this with the responses, every member can write to me and we'll coordinate a response to every question.
No, they've asked all the public questions.
But the Mary said now in the
They've not answered the public questions, and this man here, who's in charge of constitutional services, that has taken every question.
Brian, they're ignoring you
You might. Pardon? No, but you work at constitutional services, don't you?
It doesn't matter what time we're here till. Let's finish it off tonight. I'm a working councillor, Madam Mayor, and I'm willing to stay here past midnight and go to work.
So am I!
Let's do it.
Elaine! You're out your depth, love. Elaine, you're out your depth. I need a cigarette, man. I don't even smoke. I don't know who he is. Does anybody know who this councillor is? Who's speaking now? What party is he? Labour. Well, he's talking a lot of shit then.
Yes, I can confirm that the 10 cases referred to in the report, we have been in contact with all the women directly prior to the publication of the report.
Talking shit.
And we have a review process to ensure that we get anything else was identified to us in contact, because we will make proactive
Hey Bootsy, how many people are watching on the council website? Can you have a look for me, mate? Oh, I'm abused! You're not going to be shouting out and abused? Go on then! Go on! Point of order!
No, not with him in charge.
Not with you in charge, Andy Burnham.
So, quit. Oh, yeah! Quit and give the job to somebody who can do it.
Why you do it?
So respect the victims then.
What?
So respect the victims and they'll get respect back.
He's not showing any respect to any victims.
Why nobody treats him with any respect?
I'm sorry, I didn't get what he was saying.
Who's there next on the line?
Oh, here we go. Labour.
I'm very proud to do that. It's been said, and I think Andy's partly answered it earlier, we all have a part to play and we need to build up public confidence in the system. Children, young people and families and the general public need to know that when they raise a concern, they will be listened to. And where appropriate, action will be taken. How can we build up this confidence? Can you give us some idea?
Andy Burnham thinks that somebody standing up to him is abusing him. That's what Andy Burnham thinks. By telling him the truth, I'm telling him the truth. And that Andy Burnham thinks he's being abused, but he's not being abused, he's being told the truth. I don't know about Hillsborough. I'm not mentioning Hillsborough, it's got nothing to do with Hillsborough. Who did? Warren.
Build a town that our young people are proud of, and that is fit for them for the future. It's more than that as well. It's about giving good education, about dealing with our early years as well.
Could somebody let me know how many people are watching on the council website? You have to go on the council website and watch live feeds.
Good early years centre, or getting a good education, or being able to have a house that they can buy. And that competency builds confidence of our residents. And that's all 60 of our jobs to be able to do that.
That's Peter Brown. Oh, Oldham Council have got 19 people watching their live feed.
Sorry, yes.
Oh, sorry, 153. Here we are, Sam Andali, Lib Dems.
Very well respected and very well done.
He was the one that did the boo.
Ridgeway specified that they did not receive the same access to information from the police that they received with regards to Operation.
True story! True story!
So, what I would like to ask is, what justification was given by the police for not providing that information? And as Police and Crime Commissioner, can I ask you to why the organisation that comes under your remit did not provide that information to the investigation?
He'll answer just for himself because he'll say it's got nothing to do with him, but they were reporting to him, and we have the evidence from Gary Ridgway stating that he had to report to Andy Burnham.
After the review on the rest of the cases, that's missing, and it specifies in the report that it cannot give assurance as to GMP without that information.
Thanks, Boots.
Police are investigating, and thank you to Chief Superintendent Bowen for talking about the investigations that are going to happen and the prosecutions that are going to happen. But we also need that trust into what happened, and GMP did not provide that information.
And they've not provided that trust, Sam.
Why is that not there? There's been no answer.
How do you expect these things to trust them?
No.
Covered up till this day.
No.
Thank you, Councillor. Let me take your question head on. I had concerns about how Greater Manchester Police under the previous leadership engaged with the child sexual exploitation review, and it was one of the reasons why I replaced the Chief Constable with the current Chief Constable. And I believe since that change there has been a culture change within Greater
33 cases still on Steve's bit. 33 cases Maggie Oliver has put on his desk since February, Andy.
I set it up, which was to give people answers, to open this issue up as it has done tonight. And I say it again, if this is the last time I speak, if any child in Oldham, young person, is watching this tonight, are they more likely to come forward or not? Everybody here to give people confidence.
There is no confidence.
Conducting these matters in the respectful way that we should do.
Andy Burnham, you've got a victim sat here saying there's no confidence.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This report is meant to give us all assurance that both GMP and Oldham...
I'm assuming this is another Lib Dems that's speaking now.
In the case of GMP, where the authors note a less than candid approach, leading them to conclude that this negatively affects...
Can you stand up, mate?
Andy Burnham, who both commissioned the report on one hand, and then on the other hand presided over the police non-cooperation, does have answers to answer. There are 11 kids involved in this report. You've been reading a different report to me because the data processing agreement only extended to Shabir Ahmed and also to Sofid. In the case of the council, we also saw much negligence, many failures of process, and many instances where these failures were either not detected or not followed up. This ultimately led to the horrendous abuse that we have all read about. The council asks us to accept on trust that this was in the past and that things have changed. I'm here to tell you today, and I'm sure you realise this is not acceptable to many of us sat here and many of the residents of Oldham, and I imagine many of the survivors. We need to know exactly what has happened here, and I hope that the survivors' legal representatives will push for a full judicial inquiry. But in the meantime, trust is earned through verification,
will Council commit to finding out if any of those who are responsible for these failings, and also those responsible for implementing the system that didn't detect these failings, that they are held to account? If any of these people still work for the Council, whether they will be disciplined, retrained or fired.
Sack 'em!
In addition, we need to see that things have changed, and we need some sort of scrutiny body to oversee this in detail.
Of course. Oh my God. Oh my God. Are you listening to this, Oldham Together?
Must be reading a different report.
If you believe there has been misconduct from this council, I tell you what, guys, put us an art up. Put us an art up. Let's have a see the arts. If you believe there's been misconduct in this from this council, put an art up.
Now, that has been resolved, and we've now worked to a complex safeguarding hub, which was set up a couple of years ago. So for the first time ever, as social workers and as health professionals, they now sit with GMP in Oldham Police Station. And that, as you read through the report, when they talked about the structural deficits and deficiencies in Messenger, that was because they weren't all under the same roof. So Messenger worked to a certain extent, but the problem with Messenger was there wasn't enough social workers within that team.
There's still not enough social workers, Amanda. Don't start me on social workers. Peter Brown's putting his 2 penny thing over there, Peter Brown. I'd rather listen to Peter Brown. I hope Ofsted see this. What, darling? Andy Burnham has just given her a job at the GMCA, that's right. She's got a reward already.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to thank everybody for their questions tonight. It's so important we take time to answer these, and those that haven't been answered, there's been a lot of questions in there, not everybody's had the detail. And I commit, as Harry has done, that we will respond to all the unanswered questions. And we will
Who's put that up?
provide all the information that people have asked for. And we're committed to being open about the safety of our children. Stop lying! I think we've agreed in this chamber in the difficult conversation.
He's a knob. As you're a knob, what are you doing? Don't be sharing them pictures.
And I want to commit to you that we will do everything that we possibly can to identify victims and to bring the offenders and the crimes against them to justice. This isn't the end of our response to the independent review.
Oh, we're going to cover it up even more!
And as I said earlier, tackling sexual exploitation is a journey that we commit to every day. We're out in Oldham, visiting children to protect them and keep them safe, and we will continue to work tirelessly to do so. Thank you for your support.
Your support, camouflage!
I'd just like to finish tonight by paying tribute to those who for years lived with the horrors and hurt of the ongoing trauma that's happened, and to give you my personal reassurance of my job.
It don't mean nothing!
Operation Sherwood delivers on its aim to provide
justice for those who should have had justice all those years ago, to provide support
Where's the support then?
to anybody who makes further allegations to us, and to make sure that however long ago the offence took place,
Nobody in that report as a victim has been offered a single bit of support.
No, they haven't.
Total
How many then?
Not a single one of us. This needs a photo next May for people to remember who to vote for. And
This will be shared. This will be shared. There you are. That's it. It's over. This will be shared and saved. And I hope my friend Paul Bootserick shares this, saves it, shares it, and does everything. What a load of rubbish! Shame on you! 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 That's it, folks. I'm back off to Somerset. They're all a shower of shit. Good night. Stay safe, everybody.